Alright, Warpugs. Ronnie has been ready to skin me for some time. Okay? Ronnie has been ready to throw something at me for quite a while. Because this has been sitting and waiting. And every single time he sends me updates on the lists, this has been on there. I can't tell you guys how many times I have had this on the dock ready to go. I can't tell you guys how many times I've had this sitting in the background ready to go. Tonight it's happening. Warpugs, VaatiVidya. The lore of Elden Ring's cosmic sorcerers. Okay? I'm just saying, this has been requested on repeat. On repeat. And we're getting to it. Warpugs, I'm just going to put it to you like this. Elden Ring is one of the most beautiful games that I've ever seen. And the lore of it is involved. Hold on a second. You know what else is involved? This. You've been trying to get my attention for 30 minutes. 30 minutes you've been trying to get my attention. You got my attention now. Are you happy? Yes? No? Yes, no. It's a headache to play? I don't doubt it, Tony. I don't doubt it at all. Warpug's the war crime cat. Look at her, she's making biscuits. She's lost a little bit of weight. She's no longer a fat cat no more. Look at her little face. She's a little angry thing. Making biscuits. Alright, baby, get down. There you go. She's been down there annoying me for like the better part of 20 minutes. Thank you, Hobbit. Thank you, Hobbit. Warpugs, VaatiVidya. We're finally getting into more Elden Ring lore. It's been a month of Sundays. Let's go.
To the sky and found something called the primeval. Long ago, an astrologer looked to the sky.
Let's go.
And found something called the primeval current in the stars above.
Right.
Then, miraculously, what they saw in the cosmos actually manifested in reality, and the very amber of the stars rained down on the left.
Oh, by the way, Warpugs, if you are watching this on YouTube, all links are in the description down below. And yes, let me make sure I'm saying his name right, because I know I've jacked this up. I know I have jacked this up. I have jacked this up hard, probably. 10-1 I jacked this up. Just give me a second. I probably jacked this up. No, I didn't. VaatiVidya. I didn't jack it up. I don't know why I was sitting there thinking I did. VaatiVidya, let's go.
Lands between. This glintstone of the cosmos would go on to inspire those that studied it, but there was also a darkness up there between the stars, and what some saw...
Thought about it,
boomer!
And
thank you. Thank you so much, Hobbit.
And inspire a fate that was worse than death.
Oh!
This is the story of Elden Ring's cosmic sorcery, a force that would define an entire era of life in the lands between.
Let's go. The lore of Elden Ring's cosmic sorcerers. Let's go. Chapter 1. The power of the night sky.
It all began with the founding Reign of Stars, a legendary sorcery that was the founding glintstone sorcery. You might have missed this spell in your playthrough, but it's located here, hidden along an illusory path leading to the heretical rise within the mountaintops of the Giants.
Okay.
Its description reveals that it is the eldest primeval sorcery, said to have been discovered by an ancient astrologer. Now, we don't know who this astrologer was, but we know they were not alone. For it was here, in these icy peaks closest to the sky, that the astrologers who preceded the sorcerers established themselves. And with ancient tools of astronomy, they look to the cosmos above.
Are you kidding me, Tony? George R.R. Martin wrote some of this? Is this accurate?
And read fate in the stars. But this was more than mere stargazing. The stars quite literally govern fates.
Really?
In Elden Ring. We learn this from the starlight shards and amber starlight items. The former is a pale blue shard. It's what remains of a passing flash of starlight, and the latter is the same, except it has a pale amber glow, and it tells of the belief that if the stars command our fates, then amber-hued stars must command the fates of the gods. During Celivis's questline, the blue star...
Look at this drip! Are you serious? If you see somebody walking down the street with you wearing this, leave them alone. Because the IRS don't even bother them.
Light shards are distilled into this blue tonic, which can be given to other NPCs to turn them into summonable puppets. You are quite literally using starlight to forcibly control and take away their fates when you do this.
Nice!
These exact same intoxicating drafts had historically been used in the Eternal City, as is exemplified by the Night Maiden and Swordstress puppets, who actually chose this controlled fate for themselves, presumably so that they could better serve the needs of the Eternal City. You can learn more about that in this video, where we discuss the Eternal City in its entirety. But the Nox of the Eternal City weren't the only ones that were drawing power from the stars in this way. The royal house of Caria, too, drew great power from astrology. The telescope item, for example, is actually a smaller part of a larger astrological tool that was once used by members of the Carian royal family for their own brand of Carian astrology that revolved around Renala and the full moon rather than the stars.
Okay.
But to most, the moon was not considered equal to the stars.
Look at this. Dude, it's art. It's just art. It is Anybody that says video games aren't art, they have never played Elden Ring. They have never played Dark Souls or anything like that.
And it was actually the stars that most would draw upon for their sorcery. These sorcerers would come together at Raya Lucaria, a place of learning that institutionalized the practice of glintstone sorcery. And this is our little triumvirate of three factions. There's the Nox and their descendants, there's the Carians, and there's the Sorcerers of Raya Lucaria, who all trace their origins back to astrology. These factions overlap at times, they interact and clash, and their shared history is fascinating and complicated, but it all comes back to the cosmos in the end.
Chapter 2, The Founding Reign of Stars.
But let's return once again to the Founding Reign of Stars, which tells us that the glimpse of the primeval current that the ancient astrologer saw became a reality, and the stars amber rained down on this land. But what exactly is the primeval current? Well, let's break down the term. The word current means it's a moving flow, or torrent, and the word primeval means that this torrential flow likely existed from the very beginning of time. And thanks to the description for Comet Azure, we know that the primeval current is a distant starry expanse, something that is visually similar to the torrential comet generated from this spell. But what's truly amazing about this cosmic force is that somehow, this ancient astrologer managed to manifest a rain of stars upon the Earth merely after glimpsing it in the primeval current of the cosmos far.
Dude. Okay. Dude. Just... dude.
Away. And I speculate that starlight shards are actually another example of this phenomenon. Their description reveals that these are what remains of a passing flash of starlight, and we exclusively loot these at the foot of giant stone astrolabes, which are these ancient stargazing tools. Thus, rather than being a piece of star that has fallen to the ground, I think these might be a byproduct of the act of looking up at the stars. Why else would we loot them here? And so
I'll tell you guys this real quick. I'll tell you guys this, okay? This lore This lore here is actually sounds like it's based off of ancient cultures. Like ancient cultures that use the stars, that just basically mapped out the stars with no advanced tools. The Aztecs, the Mayans, several Middle Eastern cultures, some of the European cultures that just mapped out everything in the heavens and based so much stuff off of them. It's absolutely amazing how much information they were able to get with not a single telescope, with no advanced electronics or tools. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. The tracking that they could do. It's absolutely mind-numbing how much they were actually able to do.
So, in this same manner, first established with these starlight shards and then the founding Rain of Stars, glintstone sorcerers would go on to replicate this phenomenon, using their powers of comprehension to conceive of new cosmic elements that could be manifested in reality. Or put another way, they formulated spells that let them throw giant rocks at each other, and it was a huge hit with everyone.
There you go.
But among these glintstone sorcerers were some who wished to truly understand the mysteries of the primeval current, no matter the cost. These were sorcerers like Lusat and Azur, who would literally become crystal in order to sync up with and better understand these powers of the cosmos. And then there was Selen, the Graven Witch, who threw all ethics to the wind and wished to see humanity ascend no matter the cost. And make no mistake, the stars are alive, in a sense. Look at Estelle, for example. This is a malformed star, but a star nonetheless.
Okay.
Birthed from a void, or so it is said. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Most sorcerers, it seems, would just be content with merely manifesting cosmic power, and so they would embed a piece of physical glintstone into a staff and then use that glintstone as a sort of catalyst for the stars above.
Okay.
And since glintstone was needed to channel spells, and since sorcerers needed glintstone to study, I think having access to physical glintstone would have been a really important thing. And luckily for the sorcerers, glintstone, being sourced from meteors and comets, had fallen to the lands between before. So these valuable crystals were mined and put
Did it wipe out the dinosaurs in this world too?
to great use. And so, atop and amidst enormous quantities of glintstone in the lakes of Leonia, a place of learning was built, an institution known as the Raya Lucaria Academy.
This is going to be the spot of an anime at some point in the future, Warpugs.
Sorcerers, as a whole, were powerful. They could read fate in the stars, fire cosmic projectiles at their enemies, and potentially even command the fates of others.
Okay.
So, naturally, there needed to be an institution for their power, a place of learning, but also a place of hierarchy and even governance, where rules about sorcery could be debated and enforced. When you journeyed through Raya Lucaria, you would have collected these symbols of their institution. These are stone masks, called glintstone crowns, and not just anyone is supposed to wear these crowns. They are a symbol of achievement, and they represent one's mastery of a certain conspectus or school of learning within the academy. They also make a good weapon, if all else fails.
There you go.
But why was this design specifically chosen as a symbol of achievement? Well, according to many item descriptions, there isn't just life in stone, but there is a wisdom contained in stone as well.
Yeah,
so
no kidding,
their
Wraith.
masks were crafted with stone and set with glintstone.
Wraith, you're not even kidding. Neck muscles hard as rocks.
The glintstone is typically set upon the eyes and or the brain, a tradition that I speculate originated with the sorcerer Azur, who was one of the first, if not
Dude, your head is a rock.
the first glintstone sorcerer. His blue-green glintstone crown was set with crystals and eventually replaced his own brain and skull altogether, which enhanced his powers by helping him catalyze with glintstone. though it clearly came at great physical cost.
Uh-huh.
And I speculate that this crown eventually replaced his own brain and skull, because glintstone kind of does that. It corrodes, it consumes. We see its effects best on other creatures, like the dragon Smaragd, who was a devourer of sorcerers with a body that became corroded over time by their glintstones, thanks to that strict sorcerer diet. But as with Azure, this corrosion did not come without benefits, and he now breathes a powerful glintstone breath.
Right.
The sorcerer Azure was an early sorcerer of the primeval current, but he wasn't the only one. There was also the sorcerer Lusat, who experienced a similar glintstone convergence of body and mind. Together, these masters of sorcery each glimpsed a part of the primeval current. And from what I gather, the primeval current seems like the sort of thing that can only really be glimpsed once before it either breaks or terrifies the viewer. Azure and Lusat only have one primeval current spell each, after all.
I will say it just like this. Yeah, right? It's actually, like, look, Elden Ring, period, is absolutely just a treat for the eyes. Every single time you see it. Every boss, I mean, they look disturbing, but at the same time, everything they do is a treat for the eyes. Every single thing they do is a treat for the eyes. So it just makes sense that the magic will be beautiful as well. I mean, I can't even... I would not play this game because it would make me, have a stroke. I'm just saying, I would have a stroke at some point over this game. But at the same token, everything in this game is beautiful. Period. No arguments, no ifs, ands, or buts.
For instance, when Lusat glimpsed into the primeval current, he conceived of the spell Stars of Ruin as he beheld the final moments of a great star cluster, and upon seeing it, he too was broken.
Nice.
And when Azure glimpsed into the primeval current, he saw darkness and conceived of the spell Comet Azure, but was left both bewitched and fearful of the abyss.
Okay.
Both Azure and Lusat clearly had a prominent role at the Academy, but Azure specifically was the first founding glintstone sorcerer to have an impact upon Raya Lucaria, for there is a line of research called the Carolus Conspectus, dubbed the oldest of the Academy's lineages of study, begat by the sorcerer Azure. Sorcerers who follow in his footsteps by studying this conspectus pursue the mysteries of comets, leading to new kinds of comet sorceries like glintstone comet shard and shard spiral. Each conspectus appears to be named after a founding individual. These stone crowns are designed after actual people, after all, people you can see in the flesh upon their matching portraits in the Academy. So even though the Carolus Conspectus follow the path began by the sorcerer Azure, their conspectus of learning must have been sort of formalized by someone named Carolus. But as time went on, more conspectuses needed to be created as new lines of inquiry were discovered. And so logically, the Olivinus Conspectus should have been the second to be created, for this line of research is also concerned with the study of meteors in the primeval current, except this conspectus began with the sorcerer Lusat. Their spells study clusters of stars, with lesser spells like glintstone stars and star shower, all echoing the great Stars of Ruin spell that originally broke Master Lusat. Lusat and Azure were true masters at the Academy, after all. They were actually...
These character designs in this. Now, the stone masks, now that I know what they actually are, I don't really know what to say about them in terms of enemies. Because that stone mask has to weigh anywhere from 70 to 100 pounds. Enough, Hobbit, enough. They were high enough, okay? We'll just say. Dude, Tony, there were games journalists that couldn't get through Doom's tutorial, okay?
Dubbed Grandmasters, specifically, with special robes that reflected that, and it seems like no one ever went on to achieve such a rank or sacrifice as much as they did. And they sacrificed a lot. They can barely even move anymore, and when Selen talks about them, she talks about their bodies rather than a traditionally living person. Perhaps they've actually ascended to a higher plane of existence. That might explain why they weren't really around anymore to form their own Conspectuses, something that was left to Corolos and Olivinus and others instead.
Okay. The Conspectus of Raya Lucaria.
With such enigmatic founders, many dedicated themselves to the study of glintstone, taking vows of virtue and austerity. In return, they received the deep blue robe of Raya Lucaria, and were able to study on its grounds. Some nobles of Leyndell were even permitted to study here clearly, though their meagre accomplishments never warranted them earning a stone crown, and fittingly, you only see them casting glintstone pebble in-game. To assist in their learning, a powerful spellcaster would often go and cast a spell called Terra Magica from the tallest belfry of the academy. This sigil would be cast with
Look at that. Look at that.
Such strength and allow for such a vivid experience of spellcasting success that it turned many a fledgling into a true sorcerer in a flash of understanding. But not all learning took place at the academy. In fact, a couple of signature spells were specifically given to those who departed from the academy to embark on journeys.
Yay!
Starlight is a spell that guides such sorcerers in dark places, and it reads, even during the blackest nights, sojourns underground, or imprisonment in jail, the stars are never far from a sorcerer's side.
Yay!
And then there was Glintstone Arc, which would...
The wife has appeared. She is trying to do the Demodian Call of Healing at me. She's not doing it that well. Still not doing it that well. Now she's making her nose do a bunny thing. Oh my goodness, what is this? Alright, here we go.
Allow these fledgling sorcerers to cleave through the ranks of the fools that would outnumber them on their journeys. Such journeys were encouraged by the Academy. There was even a conspectus for this practice called the Hierodus Conspectus, with a crown that was granted to scholars who engaged in nomadic study away from the Academy.
Potman.
In-game, this crown is worn by errant sorcerer Wilhelm, who...
That's the only crown right there I can actually get behind, because that thing doesn't look like it weighs 50,000 pounds.
Fights with night sorceries and wields the Staff of Loss, which enhances night sorceries. This staff doesn't even have a glintstone embedded in its tip, and supposedly it can only cast night sorceries as a result. That's how important asceticism was to some sorcerers, and they believed that it was a powerful path towards discovery. This conspectus also seemed to see value in depriving the senses. The crown of Hierodus is blindfolded, after all. We see this same practice of veiling the eyes down in the Eternal City as well, and the Nox's descendants were of course accomplished practitioners of night sorceries, which seemed to be thematically tied to this blindfolded, ascetic embrace of the void. Moving on though, this habit of sending fledgling sorcerers away must have posed a bit of a problem, however, as when war broke out in the Lands Between, Raya Lucaria would close and seal its gates, preventing access to most, including its journeying fledgling sorcerers. The only way to get back inside was to use a glintstone key to activate the warp magic within the seals. These keys...
That kind of makes sense, to be honest with you. It kind of makes sense that they would do something like that to prevent their magic from being used, period, okay? Grim, you have a... Feel better, dude. Feel better. Somebody give him the Nemodian Call of Healing. Feel better, Grim.
Only seem to belong to accomplished sorcerers, and they remember their users, meaning that thieves or bluntstones like Thops could not get inside. In the current age, Thops mentions that the Academy closed its gates after declaring that they wouldn't interfere with the shattering.
Makes sense.
Now, This suggests to me that the Academy might have had a bit of a habit of striving for a sort of neutrality or indifference in world affairs. Indeed, they had developed an entire Conspectus who sought power in order to quell conflict. These were the battle mages of the Heimer Conspectus, who wielded stone clubs and spells of cannon and gavel. A gavel is commonly used as a symbol of judgment, but rather than interfering with outside affairs, I believe the Heimer Conspectus mainly functioned as the Academy's judiciary. Their crown...
Imagine somebody summons the banhammer on you.
Is even blindfolded, which is widely regarded in the real world as a symbol of unbiased justice. And with their preparedness for combat, the Heimer Conspectus were cited as being the only ones who dared to venture outside whenever war had broken out. And just like the blindfolded members of the Herodes Conspectus, the battle mages of Heimer believed that seclusion was no way to foster discovery, and instead believed that it was only a convenient form of escape. That said, we do find sorcerers of other Conspectuses.
You okay? Yeah.
Outside the Academy as well, though you can sort of infer that they're a bit wary to be away from home because they're often accompanied by marionettes. The marionettes are dolls, constructs that were crafted and animated by the sorcerers who are their masters. There are a couple of variants. There's an avian variant with curved swords that can fly and throw fire pots, and then there's the typical marionettes with spiked spears, short swords, and short bows. Lots of short bows.
Yeah.
These will commonly drop down upon you in ambush, and while they like to go a bit ballistic, they do act
I see what he did there.
as crudely effective support for a ton of the sorcerers that you'll meet in-game. You'll even find a few of these down in the Raya Lucaria crystal tunnel.
Yeah, those don't look like they're a lot of fun, okay? Guys, it looks like Kick is having a thing right now, Warpugs. Just ignore the spam.
Where glintstone miners are hard at work extracting glintstone and ore. These miners don't use conventional tools though.
Yes.
Instead, they mine with a digger's staff, embedded with a glintstone, casting spells such as Shatter Earth or Rock Blaster. A fascinating little detail here though is that these mining spells carried enormous stigma at the Academy because they marked their user as a failed scholar, perhaps as someone who had to turn to menial labor, lacking the intelligence to pursue the complex mysteries of the cosmos. Indeed, the Overseer's attack by crushing scraps of glintstone rather than with any advanced sorceries.
Remember, Warpugs, if you're not intelligent, you will yearn for the mines.
At the end of the crystal tunnel is a crystallian, an inorganic being that was hewn from crystal long ago. But these are more than mere constructs. They are ancient and even possess a faint sort of intellect dubbed the wisdom of the stone. Long ago, they even made a...
It looks like a Reddit mod cast in gemstone. Actually.
Concord, or an agreement with the Carian royal family. We don't know the nature of this agreement, but some can be found chilling upon the moonlight altar, allowed to stay in close proximity to their crystals, perhaps.
I'm Harry Dresden.
And for their part, we do know that the Crystallians did teach the Carians a spell called Magic Downpour to mark the occasion. And Raya Lucaria sought kinship with these beings as well, for they are close to the ideals of the primeval current, and so are revered guests of the sorcerers. The best example of this might be down in the dimly lit Academy Crystal Cave underneath Raya Lucaria, a crystal cave that is not mined, perhaps out of respect for the Crystallian duo at the end of the tunnel. There are even living quarters down here, and I suspect these belong to a group of sorcerers called the Crystal Cadre, which was a group that was founded to research the wisdom of stone possessed by the Crystallian. However, just like the primeval current, these sorcerers clearly don't have all the answers on these beings. They call them inscrutable, and note that they have but one clear purpose, and that is to safeguard their crystals unto the end. Though there is one theory on these beings, and it's that they are waiting, yearning for the return of their creator, who will carve for them new brethren.
Okay.
A few sorcerers down here near the Crystallion are in possession of the Twin Sage Helm, which marks them as members of the Twin Sage Conspectus. These were the elites of the Academy, permitted to study and excel in sorceries of all kinds, and I assume it was these members, these elite members, who would climb out of this cave and cast the legendary Terra Magica that would cover the entire Academy's grounds from this tall belfry that we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
But the Twin Sage Helm
Now, how do you see out of this thing is the big question.
wasn't the only mark of a proficient scholar. There was also the Witch's Glintstone Crown, which was granted to a scholar who excelled in her studies, which also merited the title of Witch. And again, you can see most of these Conspectus portraits hanging in Raya Lucaria. For example, here is the Witch, the Twin Sage, Carolus, Olivinus, and all of these portraits are hung in the debate parlor of the Academy, where members would likely have engaged in argument in order to test and help validate their ideas about sorcery. It's also where I assume they argued about whether certain things even should be allowed to be learned here, or whether certain members should be exiled. But we'll get to that shortly.
Let's go.
Because first, the final Conspectus that we haven't yet mentioned is the Lazuli Conspectus. These sorcerers studied lunar sorceries, a quote-unquote heterodox pursuit that views the moon as equal to the stars, with a robe coloured in the hue of the full moon, which signifies their heresy. And of course, these sorceries
I see that mask, and the first thing I think about is Mr. Popo. I am so fucking high right now!
include many signature spells of Caria. And so we finally arrive at Caria. This is Carian Manor, and to the south are their stargazing grounds, both situated upon the western coast of Leonia, which, according to the map, has always been closely associated with Carian royalty.
Okay.
They have been around for a long time, a really long time. Specifically, Caria traces its roots all the way back to the ancient astrologers that existed alongside the fire giants. This is most apparent when you're looking at two items. First, the Sword of Night and Flame, which became a storied sword and treasure of Caria Manor.
Look at that! Okay, everything else aside, I have said this too many times to count. The art in-game, through the weapons, through the armor, look how detailed this is. It is just sick, okay?
It was clearly crafted to commemorate the astrologers' early experiences with the primeval current and their shared experiences with the fire giants as well. And the fact that Caria inherited this sword suggests that they trace their ancestry back to the time of this sword. And then there's the Stargazer heirloom, which tells of the rise of Caria as a house of royalty through Renala and her full moon. The young astrologer gazed at the night sky as she walked. She had always chased the stars every step of her journey.
The Man-at-Arms made that? Dude, I don't even want to know how they managed to get that together. The amount of time and effort it would have taken to get that together would have been impressive, to say the least. And welding. Jesus.
Then she met the full moon, and in time, the astrologer became a queen. This royal house continued this tradition of stargazing and raised princesses and Carian knights to serve as their retainers. One of the foremost Carian knights was named Loretta, a woman we talked about recently in the video I did on the Eternal Cities, as it was rumored that she was an Albinoric. Albinorics, as you may know if you watched that video, were widely despised in the lands between, though Caria is one of the few factions that seems to be pretty friendly with them. Albinoric sorcerers
The Skyrim Together server? Could be fun.
found all throughout Caria.
Dude! This is like something that Meat Candy would make.
Manor, and one, named Pidia, is literally called a Carian servant, linking the Eternal Cities with Caria in an alliance perhaps that might have allowed them to learn more about the stars from the Albinaurics. At any rate, Renala, with her full moon sorceries, was the champion of Caria, a prominent one too, apparently. And it's no surprise when you look at the powerful characteristics of her full moon. It has immense gravity, and it eclipses all other magics. It lowers defenses. It is enchanting, and Renala used all of these traits to charm the Academy, to bewitch them, and become not just the Queen of Caria, but also the master of Raya Lucaria itself.
She's got a lot of shoulder pads in, right? Like, she isn't a Goomba, really.
And so, of course, here is her portrait, displayed most prominently in the Academy of Raya Lucaria, right next to what many assume is a portrait of Selen. For if you unmask her in-game, then she actually looks very similar to this witch. Someone who was worthy of an entire Conspectus, and apparently was the most promising sorceress in the history of the Academy. But even Selen, with all her promise, or perhaps because of her promise, would not be tolerated in the end.
If you recall, I was exiled from the Academy of Raya Lucaria. It was for attempting to restore the primeval current of glintstone sorcery. The toothless pedantry peddled by the Carian royal family can rot for all I care. I want glintstone sorceries that open our minds, unbound by terrestrial taboos.
For Selen to know so much about what she calls toothless pedantry peddled by the Carian royal family, I assume she was a part of the Academy during Renala's reign over it, and that it was Renala's influence that finally led to the Academy's intolerance of primeval current research. And Selen wasn't the only one expelled from the Academy. The Masters Azure and Lusat, two of the founding masters of glintstone sorcery, were at some point driven from the Academy as well. And it's easy.
That just lets you know that that woman had way too much power, because when you start kicking out the people that founded the thing, that's when you know you got an issue.
Easy to see why. The primeval current is dangerous. Lusat's mind was broken after watching a star cluster break apart. Azure saw a darkness in the primeval current and was left fearful of its abyss. And imagine something so dangerous that just looking at it can damage your mind irreparably. In this way, the primeval current is almost Lovecraftian in its horror. We can't pin down the exact truth of why it terrifies, but we see its terrible effects on others.
Man, Goofy had a bad day, okay? Goofy had a very, very bad day.
And are left to wonder. What's more, this cosmic current is primeval. It's one of the first, if not the first thing to exist in the universe, and the fact that our cosmic origins might be terrifying really is kind of a bizarre and bewitching thought, right? I mean, I want to know what's in this current that's driving everybody insane. Although I will mention, again, we kind of know that at least creatures like Estelle are up there, and Estelle kind of is a signature, horrific Lovecraftian monster, so...
Right.
Yeah. At any rate...
The universe, in and of itself, without magic, is terrifying, okay? When you think about the distances involved, the power involved, the everything involved, in the actual universe, you can kind of see why it gets terrifying at the end of the day. I'm just saying.
Raya Lucaria was an institution now, with power and influence in the lands between, and with these things, naturally, there would have come a need for self-preservation. And the biggest threat at this stage wouldn't have been external, it would have been internal. The biggest threat was probing the primeval current too deeply. And so, while primeval current research seems to still be okay as long as it's under the Carolus or Olivinus Conspectus, a line was drawn, and the Masters Azure and Lusat were eventually driven from the Academy, as was Selen the Witch. When we first meet her, Selen states that glintstone sorcery is rooted in the study of the stars, and she laments that most sorcerers have forgotten that fact. She resents that the sorcerers took their power and then sort of turned a blind eye to deeper research in order to protect themselves. And it's kind of easy to empathize with her and to see her as this underdog fighting for the truth against an enormous institution. Even Thops thinks she's a good person in the end, but can you really blame Raya Lucaria for taking a stand when you see this? This is a school of graven mages, a mass of sorcerers fused together so that they might be fashioned into the seeds of stars. As the lore goes, this was apparently a valid line of research into the primeval current.
I don't think so.
That in the name of this research, fellow sorcerers should be collected and fused together in a cluster to, I guess, create a star made of life. These creations were considered the nightmare of the Academy. And rightfully so. They represented Selen's complete loyalty to the truth, no matter the cost, to her fellow man. Naturally, such a thing had to be forbidden. But then, you have to empathize with Selen a little bit and agree that it is a bit ironic that the exact line of inquiry that gave rise to the Academy was the very thing that posed a threat to its existence in the end. Eventually, the Academy would seek to rid itself of Caria's influence, but the Carian royal family had long prepared for the disloyalty of the Academy. There's a reason why the Carian Knight's shields are extremely magic resistant. There's a reason why there are many spells based on a policy of Carian retaliation, where magic can be absorbed and then turned back against its caster. There's a reason why their knights were specifically sworn to the moon, not the stars. Renala, as a proficient astrologer, might have even foreseen the eventual disloyalty of the Academy, although that's just speculation on my part. But before that, there was another war that would come first.
Jesus!
A war...
I know, right? Drip. It's all over. It's everywhere. Look at this.
Against the Champions of Gold, which Caria was extremely prepared to face as well. The Order of the Erd Tree had conquered fire giants, the Storm Lords, and Caria and the Academy were next, it seems. Led by Radagon, who we now know was a part of Marika, a great war began. But here, the Order of the Erd Tree actually met their match. Despite numbering fewer than 20, the Carian Knights were a match for even the Champions of Gold in battle, and enchanted troll knights fought on Caria's side as well, called into service from an ancient oath made with Renala back in her youth atop the mountaintops of the giants.
Lord.
And so, instead of weathering a stalemate, a truce was proposed between the two parties, and...
Imagine you sit there and watch this guy in this level of armor take out your friend, and then when you sit there and throw everything you have into an attack, he just idly jumps back and then flicks his wrist at you. That would be demoralizing as hell. I'm just saying.
Sealed in holy matrimony.
Radagon once cleansed himself with celestial dew, repented his territorial aggressions, and swore his love to Renala. The Order of the Erd Tree and the fate of the moon were conjoined, and all the wounds of war forgiven.
And of course, we all know that Radagon is Marika, but no one else did. And so secrecy was of the utmost importance to Radagon, and he imposed this need upon his newly acquired vassals. These are the Carian preceptors, essentially professors of sorcery who serve the Carian royals. They wear these blue robes.
Exon Chattanooga Wraith Singer right now. Exon Chattanooga him. Jesus, man, really?
Embroidered with cosmic designs, which is a reference to Caria's astrological heritage, surely. But when Radagon married Renala, he ordered the Carian preceptors to wear an additional piece of attire, a mask with the mouth sewn shut with gold thread in that signature crisscross pattern that is emblematic of Radagon, to make it clear that all their matters were to be kept strictly private. For of course, Radagon was hiding something that might be able to be seen if anyone looked at him too closely. Indeed, this desire for secrecy was well-founded, for someone did look at him too closely during this time. A sculptor who secretly rendered this dichotomy between Radagon and Marika into his work. But no one else discovered Marika Radagon's secret, not until we came along. And long before that, Radagon would leave Renala, and her heart would go along with him. And it was then that those at the Academy realized that Renala was no champion after all. When we see her, we realize that she was likely left quite witless and innate after this loss of Radagon, and so it was no surprise that the Academy took this chance to rebel against the Carian royals. With Renala essentially held hostage and safely locked in their grand library, the Academy went to war
it's a rough
with
divorce.
Caria, focusing their assault upon Caria Manor, for that is where a siege commemorated by this graveyard of swords took place. The enchanted soldiers who fought on behalf of the Academy were named the Knights of the Cuckoo, wearing red and blue surcoats that depict their namesake and carrying shields that boasted high magic damage negation. They were explicitly purposed as mage hunters and have been quoted as stating, "Our enemy is none other than Caria itself." They also throw Albinoric pots, which reference the torture of Albinorics and the hatred of Albinorics that the Cuckoos have. And again, the Albinorics are found throughout all Caria, so these Knights of the Cuckoo were fighting against some true enemies here.
Okay.
But despite some of their descriptions saying that the Cuckoo Knights were sworn to the Academy, I think that's actually just wishful thinking by Raya Lucaria. The Scholar's armament and shield spells, for example, were actually spells that were quote-unquote taught to the Knights of the Cuckoo as payment for their contract.
When I see this helmet, the only thing I can see actually wearing it, are those aliens from the Xenos from Space King. Does anybody else see that?
So they were getting paid to fight, and learning these low intellect spells suited them because they were not proficient sorcerers. For example, instead of casting spells, they would crush broken clumps of glintstone, dubbed faux sorceries or fake sorceries by the Academy. But most telling about their loyalty is the Cuckoo Knight armor, which says its left breast is emblazoned with a peering cuckoo, whence came their name, which straight up admits that perhaps the bird's shrewd gaze is an expression of their refusal to be mere servants of the Academy.
Okay.
And in the end, the Knights of the Cuckoo failed pretty hard. They were not only defeated in the siege of Caria Manor, but they were turned into puppets there, and many now fight on Caria's behalf. We get an idea of how much they must resent this when they somehow break free and confront Pidia, a Carian, an Albinoric, and a mage. 3 things that they absolutely hate.
Lovely.
Unfortunately, guys, that's where I have to leave things for now. There's an entire summary I also wanted to do about Celia, the town of sorcery, as well, but honestly, I feel like Celia is very difficult to speculate on and puzzle out, so considering how long that would take to put into words, I think it might have to wait until another video. But please subscribe, because I will talk about it eventually, and I think I'll also give Selen her own Prepare to Cry episode as well. Hers is going to be amazing. There's some good things ahead, as always. Special thanks to Quelag for reviewing this script, and of course to MissPap1, who did all of the incredible visuals in this video. He's a true master, and I'm lucky to be working with him. But I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thank you for watching.
Warpugs, this game is absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful, okay? Everything they did in this, it's like they turned around. This and Dark Souls, okay? Every single time they did something like this, every single thing they put into this game, they looked at each other and was like, how can we make this look even better? And then they went back to the drawing board and did it. Just absolute artistic just joy went into this game. And a lot of drugs. I'm just saying. Because some of this is crazy, okay? The bosses in this game are just something beyond, like, insane, but at the same time, there's so much detail that went into even the smallest things about them. You can't even argue with this. The story, some of the story elements are just, when you hear things that he's talking about, VaatiVidya here, when you hear VaatiVidya, when you hear some of the things that he's talking about, they kind of go almost over your head just due to how complex a lot of these subjects are. They didn't just make a world, they made the world story, which is a lot more difficult than you actually think. Why things chain into each other the way that they do. If you want to think about, if you want to think about the level of detail that went into this, think about this, our own history. It is so hard to put together something like this. It is so hard to put together a story like this. Because you have to consistently sit there and ask yourself over and over again, well, why did this happen in your own story? And then explain that and expand on that. It's nutty, Warpugs. It's absolutely nutty, Warpugs. Oh yeah, I know. I've seen them, Fox Leader. Warpugs, VaatiVidya's links are in the description down below if you're checking this out on YouTube. I highly recommend that you check them out. I've seen more of... I want to see more of this series because I love the lore dumps in this. I love any kind of lore dumps I can get, really. You just figured out the dark blue guy had an astral eye on him? Really? Warpugs. Game I will never play, I have learned more lore about than anything else. I won't play this game because I would lose my temper in a heartbeat. I've seen better people than me lose their mind over it.